Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Why am I saying good morning? What am I doing? Living in the past? It's afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. And I'm Karen Reeves Toppin from Tee Vee, here with you for another episode of SME Expositions. Today, we're going to be talking to David Baum. I'm really excited to get into it. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, this is going to be a really engaging one. Now, before we get into conversation with you, let me tell our viewers a little bit about Tee Vee. So I'm Karen Reeves Toppin. I am the owner and the founder of Key Inspirations. Key Inspirations is a business that exists to aid small and medium-sized businesses with achieving goals and targets in order to help them to progress along their journey. I'm an accountability coach, which means that if you consistently miss your deadlines and you're doing it on your own, you can contact me. I'll hold your hand and I'll help you. I'll hold your hand and pull you or push you so that you can achieve the targets that you need. The thing we understand about business is that you open a business so that you can be successful and you can feel fulfilled. So if you want to experience that fulfillment and you cannot do it on your own, get in touch with me and we'll help you. So these series of shows will be with a number of other small business owners, as well as those that are running charities. And this is where David falls today. David has an amazing charity that I found out about because we happen to be put in the same group by, I would call him a visionary, James.
Yeah.
Definitely a visionary. Started a networking masterminds group, and David and I met each other in the group. So this is like our first face-to-face, apart from the Zoom call we had the other day, isn't it, David?
It is actually, yeah. We've had lots of conversations through the group, both in the group and privately. But that's the beauty about networking.
Yeah.
If you go into anyone in small, I know we're talking about charity, but actually also with my business hat on, what people forget is the power of networking. It's not about can I sell you something today? The power of networking is the power of the people within the group who may help you. If you take time to have a one-to-one, have a conversation, you start finding out if there's a mutual ground, and that way you can then help them not sell what you do, but able to introduce you to the people that they know who may be able to buy your services, or more important, be able to give you the help that you need. Karen, you're a prime example. Everyone goes into business because they're fed up working with idiots or they've been made redundant and they want to take their own. But we're all used to working to deadlines. We've always had a boss telling us. If you don't have that accountability, it doesn't matter how strong you are as a person, you will fail. Because
Yes.
the person that holds you to account is the person who's going to ask the difficult questions. Have you? Why haven't you? And it's not because they want to hurt you and they're paying your salary. No, you're having to pay them for this bit. But it's a vital, most important cog in any business environment. So more power. That alone would have wanted me to be on here to talk to you anyway.
That's really brilliant. Thank you so much, David. But that is such an excellent example why to, open up yourself to the idea of ensuring that you do whatever you can to become the success that you want to be. So networking and so on is
so
important.
much business and life is all about being positive. Too many people fail in business and in life in general because they are fearful of talking to people. They are fearful to admit that they have an issue. And prime example, going back again to business, we used to have an amazing man working with us, and I didn't release all the information about my business until we hit a brick wall. And I got such a telling off, not because we'd hit the brick wall, but I hadn't shared what the negative was going on. And what could have been a very easy solution was he solved it very quickly, but it was a much more painful solution.
More challenging.
And with mental health issues, as we know, the biggest drawback to getting help is us. We refuse, as English people, we stiff upper lip. We don't talk about all the things that are bugging us. And we need to. More people have to imagine they're at the hairdressers and your best friend is your hairdresser, because as an hairdresser, I used to hear all the anguish and the pain and the pleasure people went.
Sorry, did you say you were a hairdresser?
I was a hairdresser years ago. Wash and go, went. Maybe that's why I became more empathetic as I grew older.
Yes.
Because we were taught that you had to listen to what they were saying.
Yes.
Because often it was hiding what they really wanted. I mean, they used to have Farrah Fawcett Majors. There's the star all the women wanted. And it really, when you spoke to them on why they wanted it, because it didn't matter if it didn't suit them, but that's what they wanted. So you have to manage their expectations.
Yeah.
And the same way, you come along to David Limited, and you have to manage David Limited's expectations. Yes, he's got a potential to be £1 million a year turnover business, but they've got to go in those small steps. So I know we're not talking about what we originally planned to talk about, but this is as vital because we can save people's sanity.
Yes.
So,
okay, brilliant. So let's go on to talking about your charity. So you've started a charity, and it's called the 365 Challenge.
Yes.
So tell us, how did you get to starting this?
Okay. Long story short, between 14 and 16, I was very badly bullied. But I was short. I wore glasses, which was bad enough. Don't forget, we're talking about 1972, long before most of your viewers will have ever been around. The advantage was in those days we didn't have social media, so the bullying was encapsulated within a school. But I created a cardinal sin of giving up my paper round, giving up my discus, as I was in the school discus team.
Okay.
And I got a job as a shampoo boy, which in those enlightened times made me gay. So I deserved to be beaten up in that. And also my religion. I was Jewish. I'm very proud to be Jewish, even though these days I see myself more as a spiritual person. So that allowed me to be bullied as well. But I didn't talk about what was going on in school. I allowed it to fester inside me. Because we're told, first, with the bullying, you do not talk about being bullied. And today we see bullying on an unprecedented scale. Look at children, girls are being bullied to send naked pictures of themselves because their boyfriend wants it. If you don't send it to me, I'll get your friends. Bullying hasn't changed, just the style of bullying. Plus, then I ended up with having a series of car smashes because I was so unhappy.
Yeah.
I met my wife. That was very happy. We had 2 amazing sons who both went through life-threatening conditions. We nearly lost them. And the final straw was my wife had breast cancer. And I literally sat in my car one day. All the pain, all that memories were just basically overwhelming me to such a point I wasn't functioning. And I looked at my car and I think, how fast will it take to drive my car into that brick wall and take away the pain?
Oh my goodness.
But I suddenly remember having an appointment. So I went off to the appointment, I didn't do it. And then somehow or other it came out what had my state of play because I'd lost everything about me that made me David. I was a shell. And I was taken kicking and screaming to counselling. Now, counselling on its own is only the start. I was lucky. We managed to get into very quickly what was the pain because I was so ready to go with that.
Yeah.
But it took another 15 or so years before I would say I was in a healthier position, understanding about positivity and negativity.
Mm.
How the people I was surrounded with at work, my directors, my managers, were generally very negative people who took the joy of my life. You know, think of Harry Potter, the Dementors. They suck all the goodness out of you. This is what a lot of British man management is about. You suck all the creativity out of people and expect them to perform to the level that they're supposed to. And you can't do it. Something's got to give.
What happened?
And so I went all through this. I divorced myself from what I don't have mentors in my life. I only have nice people in my life. People that inspire me, people like you, Karen, and James, who make my life better.
Mm.
But there's more to this than that. So in 2016, a campaign came out of America that was called the 22 Press Up Challenge. And this is where people were asked to do 22 press ups for 22 days in memory of 22 ex-service men and women who took their own life every single day. And the aim was everybody did 22 exercises, and every day you would name somebody else to take up the challenge. So it should be continued. But it failed because some people didn't bother, some people were doing it, some people were incapable of doing it. But believe it or not, that campaign is still going on today. I know so many people who suddenly picked it up, or suddenly challenged it to have become a 25 challenge.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we see them all the time. So when I was doing this, one of these people, I must have slight autism. I must be on the autistic scale because I start calculating what does something equate to. I have to know these answers, and it turns out that's 8,030. At 22 a day is 8,030 men and women a year, which means 22 days was an insult to some very brave men and women. I couldn't do the job that they do. But these were just American troops. It didn't include British troops or European. It didn't include our emergency services. You think about the police that have to go into the scene of a domestic violence and pick up the detritus of humanity, or the paramedics, it didn't include people like me, or my wife who'd had breast cancer, and she still got trauma from looking at certain kind of liquids. Our two sons, one at 9 months was at Great Ormond Street. He was traumatized by loud noises from the intensive care unit.
Okay.
The oldest son was at 9, had to have his large intestine removed, and he was traumatized. So all this was going on. So I thought, it started off with me setting a challenge to do a year of exercise, increasing the number of reps, hence why it's called the 365 Challenge.
Okay.
And then I started putting it out and thought nothing of it. And all of a sudden, I'm getting messages from places like Pittsburgh. Can I take part in this challenge? I said, yeah, sure. What's the rules? There were no rules as far as I was concerned. And I said, why? He said, my 7-year-old son died from cancer, and I need to do something. Well, okay, this is obviously something. So we put together a basic website with information. Still, the aim was just raise awareness. And then I'm hearing figures that came out. I listened to Having Sadiq Khan at the time. It's the only time I've ever heard him speak sense. Was on LBC, and he mentioned that 25% of the population is suffering at any given time from mental health issues. What he didn't seem to understand is that 25% is 3/4 of that it can be put down to some form of trauma. It's now been established that bipolar, anorexia, depression, anxiety, a whole range of health issues have been generally triggered by one event or a couple of events that trigger it off. Others like ADHD, that is not, that is a biological condition. It is also triggered by obesity. It causes poor health, poor living, the way we live our life generally affects our mental health. And in fact, they've now calculated through COVID, anything up to 70% of the population could and will be affected by some form of trauma. But while this was going on, we had to make a decision. And we said originally we're going to raise lots of money so we can help people, because when you go to your doctor, this was two years ago, the doctor would call you back and say, well, go home, here's a tranquilizer, See how you get on, and if you're still not good, we'll get you some help. Come back and see us in 6 weeks. Well, in the best case scenario, all that tranquilizer is going to do is mask what the problem is.
Yeah.
The problem we then have with the recommendation of counselling through the NHS is 6 sessions. That's it. And that's not counselling. Again, it's not getting to the crux of the matter.
It's not enough, is it? It's not. It's
no.
not.
But no, who can afford to pay? Let's say if you're lucky, you find a counsellor that charges £50. That's not a lot. But if you go and see the counsellor 6 times, that's £300.
Yeah.
What happens if you've got to go for 2 months? Or 10 weeks? And no one's got bottomless pits. And even with the insurance aid companies out there, there's a limit to what they will pay. So the vision said, let's set up as a charity to raise £1 million so we can pay. But unfortunately, that becomes, no one can get their head around what £1 million is. You say to people, that's what we do. So we said, okay, let's change this again. This is all before COVID started. And we're going to raise 36.5 million to open up walk-in centres so that people can get help.
Wow, okay.
No, but this again, we've had to change this because whilst we were planning walk-in centres around the country, it doesn't help the situation now. COVID-19, whatever the government say, the ramifications are going to be with us for life. It's in the air. It's not going to disappear, which means people are going to be suffering from things that you don't consider for mental health issues. Food banks, for instance. People need to be able to be fed. As we said, obesity. It's all very well the government wanting people to lose weight, but if you don't give them the tools to tackle that, you're not going to take away. If you've got poor physical health, you cannot have good mental health. So what we're saying is, if we raise money in, say, in Watford, or money's raised in Watford for what we're doing, it will be used for people in Watford, or Manchester, or Birmingham, or Cornwall, wherever it is. The money we raise will be used to help those people who need it in the area.
Okay, so your charity you are based in Watford. But you could have a branch in Manchester. You could have a branch in Kent. You could have a branch in in Birmingham.
Anyway, it could be out in the Outer Hebrides. I actually don't care.
Okay, and wherever they are, the funds that they raise will be used for community interest, community interest in their locale.
Correct. But but go back to the 365. What you have to do is you can't just say to people, give us your money, because some people actually want to participate. Now, normally there would be fundraising events. You'd have a bike ride or a marathon, completing the marathon to raise money. Well, we're not going to have those anymore. We actually are going to do a variation in August, which is information, a couple of things. We're going to have a Walk for Wellness week. We're going to ask people to walk a marathon over the course of a week. Okay. And that came out of the fact I was walking around my garden around about before they came up with Colonel Tom, and I worked out. I thought, how many steps? We all got these Fitbit type things. How many steps in a marathon? It must be hundreds of thousands. It's 55,000 on average for a man, which means if I'm doing an average of 10,000 steps a day, 4.5 days, I've walked a marathon. Isn't that awesome? I could write. So that was going to be my idea. Now we're going to say, let's make it a campaign. So we're going to ask people to sign up to walk a marathon over a course of a week. You don't have to run. You can do it in 2 days. You want to do it in a day? Great. Get sponsorship to help us raise money. We obviously have clothing people can buy, and we ask people to donate. But one of the things we're going to get people to do, and this is where the 365 comes in, is it's been changed. I love allowing people to take what I've started and make it baby. I grew the baby, and now it's with other people allowing that baby to grow. And this goes back to what we talked about before, to allow people into your life who mentor you and help you grow. Someone came and said, look, what we need to do, because we have some guys in America will make it 3 exercises, 6 reps, 5 times, end of. I said, no, that's not a difficult, it's not a challenge. How about 3 exercises, 60 seconds for each exercise 5 times. If you do it all in one hit, it's 15 minutes. But if you take time, it can be half an hour. It's an ultimate hit session at home. So today, and they filmed every day. I have no say in what we do. I just take part like everybody else does. So today's it was inverted leg, alternate leg raised V's. So laying on the back and one leg goes up and you have to touch it with your left hand to your right leg and vice versa. Then we did 60 seconds of stomach crunches. And then a 60-second plank. And the fact is, if you want a challenge, now there are some days, yesterday, some of them I couldn't do because I've got dodgy knees. So what we've said is, for those who can't do that exercise, change it for what you can do. Or variation on it. It's not supposed to beat you up because you don't quite meet that criteria.
So you want people to participate in the challenge because eventually they not just will they be giving money into the charity to help persons in other communities or in their own community, but they too will be developing a healthier lifestyle.
We have to, I mean, what upset so many people working within wellness, and we're not just talking about those who are peripherally like me, but people within fitness and health, is the first things that were opened up were fast food. It is a poison that is a legalized drug and poison. I know it's very controversial. There's a wonderful book I read years ago that said it's not the meat in the burger that's bad. The meat's meat. And they say it's 100% beef. It is 100% beef. Mm-hmm. It is the chemicals that are used in the sauces and the sugars in the buns that are the addictive thing. And these are what's killing our children. We have an obesity crisis here. And when lockdown first happened, there are films of parents put films on YouTube of their children crying because they couldn't get their favourite burger or pizza or Chinese. And they thought, it's hilarious. You're filming a 5-year-old child that's going to be out there for life, bawling her eyes out because they can't have her favourite fast food. Apparently, some of the biggest watched programs are the cookery programs. Yeah, if you want to get 2 million people watching, you put Nadia Hussain on it, or Mary Berry, or the Hairy Bikers. So people watch this. They buy the cookbooks. Yeah. And then they don't have a burger. So we have to try and re-educate people to understand there's nothing wrong with having a burger once a week as a treat. Mm-hmm. It is not a lifestyle living. This was never aimed to make it a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. There was a guy in America, they did a study in America where he lived on fast food. You've seen it. And I
was going to say, yes.
And his body, he went from healthy. I mean, no, what did they do? It was okay, they did it last year about swapping food for a month.
Yes.
And there was an athlete, I can't remember who, she had to give up. Her body was in such poor condition by living on this food. She'd never lived on it before. And at first I thought, it's marvellous. But and I know they did it as an extreme, but it was a reason to do that. They have to show what happens to the body.
The body.
So if we can get children eating healthily, if we can get children just not forget athletics, forget representing Great Britain in the Olympics, but if we can get children just walking, running, cycling, the stuff that we did as children. I was a big boy. I was still at 8. I was a big boy. At 10, I was on a 1,500 calories a day diet from my school because I was Great Ormond Street because I enjoyed chocolate. That was my poison of choice. Sorry, my drug of choice. So nothing's changed except now we have more obese children who will develop type 2 diabetes that are going to be reliant on medication for them to live. And we can, if we've got that, you've then got that poor mental health because you cannot think clearly. If all you're looking for your next fix, it's a drug. And
we have to find a proper solution for the children. And it is a very sad state of affairs when it comes to the kids and their health. You know, sometimes some people say, oh, it's the parents. But sometimes those parents, they are working.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're working quite far away from home, and the commute is, quite horrendous. It's long. And when they're coming in, they don't have time, or they think they don't have time.
correct.
And I think it is important to let parents understand that cooking, there's no taboo with cooking. You can cook nutritious meals in a very short period of time, or you can put something together that is nutritious in a very short period of time. I used to love watching Jamie Oliver's 5 minute meals. I mean, some of them weren't 5 minutes, to be honest,
No,
but
but
I used
it gave you you could watch that. I think one of the things we need to do if we want to help people improve is we're going to have to go back to something which we had an abundance of. And part of what you're doing, because I don't know if the viewers know what your sideline is, Karen. Apart from being a beautiful, happy lady, what do you do with your spare time?
What do you mean, my choir singing?
Yes.
Or
No, your choir. The choir, right? Years ago, there was activities for people to take part in. It's a joyous thing. I wish I could see. My late father was never happy. I didn't inherit his bass voice. I've got no singing voice, but I love music. Music, like exercise, like laughter, is the greatest tonic we can have.
Mm-hmm.
We need to encourage people to take part, join choirs.
Yes.
If they're joining a choir, then the choir, part of what the choir can be doing is encouraging them to be healthy, because it's going to help their voice.
Yes.
And if you're happy, and so not just the children of the choir, but get mum and dad and grandma and grandpa and everybody involved.
Absolutely. The more people that sing together, the happier they are together.
I love singing. No one wants to hear me.
Together, yes. That's all right. In my choir, we say everyone has a voice.
No, trust me. True story. At primary school, we had a school choir. Everyone had to take part. I was the only child in the history of the school who was asked to mime.
Oh dear.
My poor father, he loved my sister, older sister, younger brother. My sister could sing. My brother could play guitar, and there was David who could do neither.
Well, maybe little David didn't find his spot in music. Perhaps you would have been better on percussion. Maybe you've got rhythm.
No, according to Dad, I didn't. Excuse me, George Michael, Guilty Feet have no rhythm. Mine have never had any rhythm to start with. But I love music. It's joyful for me. And so when I'm out doing my jog or my walk, I can sing along to it.
Yeah. But let's come back to your charity. So it's a project that you're doing that is actually going to be helping communities. Yeah. So how do people get involved?
Hold on a second. Let me just show this to the camera. Can we see that?
Bring it down. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. Good. Okay, there you go.
Facebook, 365 Challenge UK. Twitter, @365 Challenge UK. And Instagram, @365 Challenge UK. And we are obviously, as I'm told, this is so last century, those three. And as we find different platforms to engage, we will engage. We also got the website, which is 365challenge.org.uk. We need to engage with people. We want people to engage with us. So we need people to engage with us. Tell us, what do they need in their community? What can we do? Once we start raising the money in, we don't want any money raised will never be used to. We're not going to be like some charities. The money we raise will be used all the time. We have a company that will be used, which will raise, which is looking at funding issues and funding stuff like that. So we don't have to. There's two parts to what every charity. One is the charity, which is what gives away the money. The other is the business side, which gets in the money we need to do from sponsorship, from government funding available. So that means we can just keep helping people. There's not a target now. It's not 36.5 million. It is. There's no target because there is no way. There's no quantifiable way we can say, if we get 100 million, we've solved the issue. Because for every generation that comes along, there'll be other issues that need to be solved. All we can do is say, I think it was Martin Luther King or Gandhi, we save one person at a time. And that's all we can do. And if we save one person, we can help save two.
Yes.
It's very passionate.
Yes. Thank you so much. We're almost out of time, but I want to be clear about how people can engage. In addition to going to the social media platforms, if they want to be able to give some money into the charity, how do they do that?
Our website, www. It's www.365 the numbers challenge.org.uk, and there's a donate button on the website.
All right, I'm going to be pinning that underneath the interview because the sound went a little bit funny.
But you can always contact me.
Was dropping.
You can always contact me directly. I'm always happy to engage with anybody and to have a chat with anybody. I keep telling people I'm not a counsellor. I'm a survivor. Going back to networking, my skill is I have an enormous library, repository of amazing men and women, both in the UK and abroad, who will do anything they can do to help those in pain. And that goes for business as well as it goes for charity. They're interlinked, whether we like it or not. Mm-hmm. So if you have a question, you're not sure about business, ask me. Mm-hmm. If I can't help it, I know somebody who can. That's how you and I met, Karen.
That is how we met. Thank you so much, David.
My pleasure, Karen.
It's been an awesome talk. I mean, I learned a few things. We had a chat about the charity before, but I learned a few things about it today that we hadn't had an opportunity to open up to before. And I'm really, really pleased that we could get you on Tee Vee today to talk about your charity, the 365 Challenge. Thank you so much, David.
It was my absolute pleasure. At any time, I'm still waiting for the choir to give you some music for us for our Friday projects.
I will chase our overall director. I will chase him. In fact, if I can get him on the show, I'll put him on the spot.
Because I'll tell you, there's nothing nicer in all the world than uplifting music. And when you have a choir, you can't, even if you're feeling the most down that you feel, you've had the worst day possible, you hear joyful voices. It raises the spirits. Even for 30 seconds, you are in a happier place. You cannot go back to that exact moment you were before. So Karen, please, please, please keep doing what you're doing for music. It's awesome.
Thank you. I enjoy it so much, and I will continue to do it for as long as I can. Thank you so much, David.
My pleasure.
And I want to thank all of you that have watched, whether you watch live or if you're going to watch the replay. Thank you so much for engaging with us on Tee Vee. And remember, if you've got a small business, if you've got a charity organization, if you've got an event coming up and it's a community interest, or if you want to give it a little bit more exposure, get in touch with us at Tee Vee and let's see if we can get you on, get a spot for you. Thank you once again. Until Thursday, take care, stay safe. Bye for now.
Bye.